So welcome to Move and Meditate. A privilege to be with you. In Move and Meditate, I share some ideas, often from the wonderful world of Taoism, which is an ancient Chinese philosophy. We also meditate together and then we move our bodies, doing some Qi Gong. So we've got something for our mind, body and spirit, setting a strong foundation for us to have energy and enjoy life, giving our gifts to the world. We're currently live with 79 wonderful people. A privilege to be with you. And if you're here in the recording, wonderful to be with you as well. So, today's idea is about developing practical wisdom. We got a fun story from Taoism. I'll tell the story, then we'll maybe see in a bit, see what the chat thinks, and then get a bit deeper with the wisdom behind it. So, a while back in China, there was a great sage, a great Taoist wise person. And one day this sage got an invitation from a friend he hadn't seen in a very long time, inviting him for dinner. And so the sage looked at the address on the invitation, went to the address, and in front of him was this huge mansion. It's clear that his friend recently had done well for himself. The sage walked up to the front door, and at the front door of this mansion there was a doorman waiting, and the doorman, seeing the sage, who was just wearing normal clothes, shooed the sage away. The doorman thought the sage was probably a solicitor selling something, and so, rejected him at the front door. The sage found this quite funny, went back to his house and decided instead to get on his ceremonial gown, a lovely robe, red, beautiful, traditional outfit. He went up to the mansion again. The doorman didn't recognize the sage, but because he was wearing this fabulous clothing, thought he probably was someone important, and so the doorman let the sage in. The sage then met the friend, and they embraced after not seeing each other for a long while, and then the friend invited the sage to dinner. They started dinner, but the sage wasn't eating anything. Instead, he was getting the little appetizers, the little dumplings, the little Chinese bread, the baozi, and stuffing the pockets of his robe with all this yummy treats. His friend, watching him, couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was baffled. He said, "Wise friend, you don't need to do that. We can make a bag for you after the meal. You can just relax, enjoy yourself." To this, the sage responded, "When I came here earlier in just my normal clothes, I was rejected at the door. I came back wearing this robe, and I was welcomed in. It's clear then that you have invited my robe for dinner, not me, so it's only fair that my robe gets to enjoy your food." So there's our story from the wonderful world of Taoism. Let's have a look in the chat, see what comes up for you. And while we're waiting for that, I'll do some ad-libbing. So we have a sage who gives us a fun lesson. And the Taoists, they often like to communicate their philosophy through stories and fun stories, because often we don't learn through being lectured and told, "Thou shalt do this and thou shalt not do this," but instead just bringing some ideas with lightness and humour, which is always a fun way to learn and actually can be more impactful. So Connor says, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Lovely, Connor. Nice one. Caleb enjoyed. Any other thoughts of what this story is trying to tell us? We've got Yasmin talking about the Beauty and the Beast with the ugly old witch who becomes a gorgeous woman. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge an ugly old witch by her appearance. Don't turn away the poor from Caleb. Lovely. So don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a sage by his robe or their robe. It's quite a fun story to try and challenge us to not just take people and things happening in our lives by the surface appearances. How often do we do judgments like these of, say somebody doesn't wear the same sort of clothes that you wear, you think, oh, I couldn't be friends with them, they're in a different sort of group. or a person votes for another political party different to your own, I can never be friends with this person. We very quickly judge people by their external appearances. And there is part of human nature to break the world into us versus them, these tribal groups. We like our in-tribes and we don't like the people outside. So that is part of our deep kind of nature, that propensity to judge on external appearances. But we know that it's not particularly healthy, is it? And a lot of spirituality, our practice, is to expand our compassion. Firstly, to ourselves, our whole selves, not judging our surface appearances. Like maybe I've gained a pound, or maybe I didn't get the job that I wanted. Maybe I got rejected by someone that I liked. These things are difficult and they arise in our lives, but beneath all of that, what is constant about us is that we arise from the mysterious intelligence of the universe. We all do. Even our houseplants, we all emerge from the same source, nature, the laws of nature, the Tao, God, however you want to talk about it. So extending compassion to ourselves, not judging ourselves by surface appearances, means that we can actually begin to connect with something deeper about ourselves that has always been true about us and always will be. So that is one way that spirituality can help us become less judgmental. Can we extend it to others as well? So if you think about some of the great spiritual leaders, so maybe the Taoists of old times or spiritual leaders today, you could probably say with some certainty that one consistent feature that great spiritual leaders do have is their compassion and non-judgmental space that they hold for people, that they bring many different people in. Jesus, for example, was famous in meeting with women and lots of different Samaritans, which were looked down on by the Jews, and I don't know my New Testament and Old Testament knowledge that well, but that was one of the things that Jesus was really powerful for, was extending his love to all beings. Mother Teresa, another great example, she worked with lepers in the 20th century, people who had a disease that is very contagious, and most people wouldn't go near a leper, and yet Mother Teresa did, because she said that she could see God wearing many different masks with each of the people that she worked with. Same sort of thing as we're talking about with understanding the divinity, the sacredness, the miraculousness of all of us, every single one of us. And so Mother Teresa could see this divinity, this godlike nature in all the people that she worked with. So life becomes more interesting and we develop a practical wisdom when we don't judge books by its cover. And it's a fun story with the robes to try and illustrate the silliness of it, is that, this exactly the same person, a great wise sage of that time, who was invited for dinner because of his wisdom, and yet, was rejected at the front door just because he was wearing normal clothes. So we actually, that friend, that doorman could have stopped a great connection between the sage and the friend. If the sage didn't come back, then that would have been a connection lost. Same thing in our lives. There's actually people who are different to us can be great teachers. And actually they can be part of our spiritual journeys, part of our journey of life of becoming wiser and developing wisdom, living well. When we speak to people who are different to ourselves, we learn that actually the way that I think isn't the only way that people think, and actually people have very different experiences of life. And so rather than just surrounding yourself with people who think and talk and look like you, begin to open yourself up and see what more you learn about the world. So developing practical wisdom that can help you. Because ultimately when we understand ourselves and we understand how the world works, we live with wisdom. We act well because we understand what is going on in the world, rather than having ideas that are insufficient in some way. So a question that for me came up from this story, which is something that I have been asking myself, is when I meet people, and even particularly challenging people, people that maybe I wouldn't normally vibe with, I ask myself the question, what can I learn from this person? And how can I be of service to this person? And these questions prime me to say, okay, don't just allow these judgments that inevitably come up. You don't need to act upon them. What can I learn from this person? What can I learn from this interaction? Can I practice my compassion, my spirituality? And how can I be of service? So, yeah, powerful questions that I found has meant for me that I have interactions in life that wouldn't have happened otherwise, that I'm super grateful for. And I'm sure that you can think in your own experience when maybe you're at a wedding or a party or just on the street talking to maybe a homeless person or someone that has a different life to yourself, and being grateful for that connection, for that opportunity to meet someone who thinks differently to yourself. So don't judge a sage by his robes. Don't judge a book by its cover. So let's have a look on the chat and see what people are saying. Yeah, practical story, opening ourselves to judgment. The status and vanity from Liviana. And yeah, like our society, who do we revere in society? Celebrities. And what qualifications do celebrities have to be influencers, people who are role models in our society? Is it that they've contributed great gifts to the world, innovations, they've done great acts of kindness? No, they're famous because they're famous. They're famous because they've cultivated an external image that we revere, either beauty or money. But wisdom is living well. And so these external appearances actually can hide the fact that these people are maybe just as messed up as any of us, or that actually maybe they're more messed up. Because if you're an Instagram influencer and your whole life is about becoming as beautiful as possible, then you put all of your value on your external appearance, and so then you become very brittle to other people's opinions, and then you feel really down about yourself. And also, you're not quite sure if people really like you, the intrinsic, real you, or just the Instagram filters that you put on you. So then you have this insecurity. I wouldn't want that. I think actually for us, we have a much safer form of self-esteem, which is to connect with something that's deeper beyond just the physical appearances, and to connect with, our Tao nature, our God nature, and to, celebrate ourselves for being here and being of service in ways that we can, serving our families, friends, and the planet. That's much more exciting. And what would society look like if we actually didn't judge people by their cover, the external appearance, the number of likes on Instagram, but instead the deeds that they did, or the fact that they just be human beings. We're human beings, not human doings. So can we celebrate ourselves? So Maya was on a yoga retreat, and hi Maya, open enough to speak to some people on a flight that she would normally be judgmental of. And it turns out that they lived by her mum for 10 years. And her mum has now passed on, so it was a special conversation for her. So those serendipitous meetings when you are open, then actually, imagine all these potential connections going on that you miss just because we kind of prejudge what people can give us. And so we think they look different, they can't give me anything. Can we look with more openness? Connor says to not judge is very difficult. As you said, it's in our nature to judge. So is it a case of building a habit? And absolutely, Connor, not being judgmental is difficult because, we have this tribal nature, and oxytocin is a good example of this, is that when people get sprayed oxytocin in their nose, you may know oxytocin is the hormone that bonds a mother and child together, leads to good feelings and connection and bonding. But if you spray some oxytocin up your nose, and then in experiments they tested this, they showed people's faces with different names different from the group that the person identified with, so maybe someone from the Middle East or someone from China. When oxytocin was sprayed in their nose, they became more judgmental, on average, across the participants. So it's the double-edged sword of bonding with our group, which is great, but also that bonding can mean that then we feel more alienated from the people that are outside of our group. And so yes, Connor, it is a practice. You know, the spiritual journey is to expand our compassion, to realize that our tribe isn't just, you know, the people on my street or in my country, but really we're all in this thing together. Even the plants and animals, you know, we're interconnected. The whole universe is relationship in motion. Everything's moving, everything is interconnected. And so we all emerge from the same source. And when we connect with our spirituality, a universal spirituality, then our compassion expands to all of life and all of existence because we're it. We're inseparable from it. And so obviously it's hard to keep that openness in difficult situations when somebody's coming at us with anger or with judgment towards us. And you know, it's our meditation practice, it's our spiritual practice, our reading. Thich Nhat Hanh is a great inspiration for me. His compassion is just really beautiful, and he's an amazing writer, so read some of his books. And of course, even if we extend compassion, we can still have boundaries as well. So it's not just that we extend our loving heart and are open to everyone to be constantly kicked and to be abused. We can be compassionate and loving, but still hold boundaries. So saying no when appropriate. But not because we are judging that person, but because we are doing what's best for ourselves and ultimately what's best for that person as well. So good stuff happened in the chat. Lots of conversation going on. And yeah, fun story for you to think about. And those questions of how can I be of service to this person? What can I learn from this situation? And can I put my spiritual practice into play here, even in the most challenging situations? It's time to practice. Can we stay grounded through difficulty? A phrase that I love from Goenka, one of the great Vipassana teachers of the 20th century, is that enlightenment is not the freedom from pain or the freedom from suffering. Enlightenment is the freedom to experience pain with a balanced mind. The freedom to experience pain with a balanced mind. And so challenges may still come up, and situations of conflict will inevitably still come up in our lives, but our practice is to navigate those difficult situations with a balanced mind as much as we can, and being compassionate to ourselves when we inevitably fall down, and you know, we may lose that compassion, but that's being compassionate to ourselves, that we can only do our best. But actually those difficulties, those challenges, are the things that help us grow. They're the things that deepen our practice. So why don't we land together with some meditation? So for the rest of the session, we're going to do some meditation and some movement. But let me, just before I do that, I want to show you something. And let's see how well this works. So this is Wayfinders. So I've been holding this every week on a Wednesday. Every week on a Wednesday in Wayfinders, which is a free community, wayfinders.global, and there's a link in the description. And yeah, I invite you to join. There's an amazing community developing. So my contribution to the community is every Wednesday, normally at 8 p.m. UK time, I do Move and Meditate, which is what we have now on YouTube for the next couple of weeks, this week and next. But look at all these amazing groups. There's now 15 community-run groups every week. And so you can do Qi Gong, you can do calligraphy, There's so much going on, some really wonderful people that are bringing energy to this community, and lots of amazing connections happening. So I invite you to join, and I hope to see you on Zoom, which is wonderful because then I get to see your face as well and we can have a bit more personal conversations. Alrighty, so let's land with some meditation, begin to arrive. We're going to do Taoist true breathing today, which if you join me for the breath course we tried, which is a breathing technique that I do in all of my meditations. And so, that's going to be the focus of our meditation today. We're going to do about 10 minutes and then we'll get onto some movement later. So as always, it's a privilege and a great pleasure to be with you and for us to be sharing our journeys together. So if you imagine there's a piece of string attached to the ceiling and to the top of your head, feel an elongation in your spine, feel a lengthening, and then you're relaxing down from there, so upright and relaxed. A slight tuck of the chin, so not having your chin out here, a nice straight line down the back of the neck, down the spine. So a slight tuck of the chin, that's the best positioning for your spine. And when you're ready, and if it feels comfortable for you, closing your eyes and arriving with your breath. Where is your breath right now? Not trying to change anything. We always begin our journey with awareness, but just finding your breath. And relaxing the face, relaxing the forehead, relaxing the cheeks and the jaw. Allow them to sink, to release. Begin to arrive. Give yourself permission for the rest of our session to park any worries, planning, thinking. We have a brief and precious moment now of presence with amazing people from all around the world. So if you have any thoughts, that's fine, but just notice that you're thinking and come back to your breath. And I invite you to breathe in and out through your nose, if that feels comfortable for you. Watching the slightly colder air come in through your nostrils and the slightly warmer air leaving. Watching your breath. And slowing the breath down. Can you breathe so light and slow that you cannot hear your breath? Can you breathe so light and slow that you can barely feel any movement coming in and out through your nostrils? Breathe light, breathe slow. Now focusing on breathing deep. So as you breathe in, just using your intention, send the breath deep down into you. As you breathe in, release stomach tension, so you feel an expansion of your lower side ribs and your stomach. Not pushing the stomach out, but just releasing tension so that as you breathe in, the lungs expand and the stomach comes out. Then when you breathe out, a slight tension to push the air back out. Breathe in, release tension, feel an expansion. Breathe out, everything coming back in. There should be no movement in the shoulders, no movement in the chest. Everything is happening down below. Send the breath deep down into you. This deep belly breathing is the most relaxing form of breathing. And now let's get even deeper, trying our Taoist true breathing. Taoist true breathing is simply breathing so light and slow that you can barely perceive any movement of the air. So you're still breathing in and out, breathing deep into you, but it's so slow, so controlled, that you can barely perceive any air coming through your nostrils. And this is something that develops over time, the control of your diaphragm. But do your best now. Slow your breath down and see how gentle and smooth and light you can make it, so that you can hardly feel any air moving through your nostrils. It still is moving, but because it's so slow, the little hairs in your nostrils don't give you any feedback. Now for some of you, this may create the desire to breathe, air hunger, and that's okay. That means the exercise is working. You're developing the ability to take more control over your breath. If you feel stressed, simply breathe normally. You can always come back into the exercise, always listening to your body. Breathe light, breathe slow. Relax the face, release any tension. If you notice your mind wandering, gently come back to your breath. No judgment or criticism needed. Gently come back. Breathe light, breathe slow. Just taking a moment to reflect on how slowing the breath down felt. How did this Taoist true breathing feel? And whatever came up for you is exactly where you are today. No criticism needed. For me, slowing down the breath like that can really still my mind in ways that other breathing practices can't. Can you breathe so light and slow you can barely feel any movement of air through the nostrils? Something for you to try in your practice. And gently beginning to come back. Perhaps bringing some movement to your body, some wrist rolls, some shoulder rolls. And when you're ready in your own time, opening your eyes and coming back to your space. Beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed that. Wonderful to be in presence with all of you. And let's begin our movement. So I invite you as we stand, if you want to join me for the movement, is to do so very mindfully. So as you stand up, feeling your feet land on the ground, take your weight as you move to a space. So if you want to join me, let's do some movement. So standing up, getting into a space where you can move around. Britain's currently in the midst of a heat wave, so I'm already dripping in sweat, haven't even begun our movement. It's going to be a fun one. Raise our energy. Alrighty friends, so starting off with some ankle rolls and some wrist rolls. Bringing your awareness to your breath, breathing in and out through your nose if you can, relaxing the face. Change direction. This is our meditation 2, continuing our meditation, staying present with the body. Change foot, watching the breath. And change direction. And our swimming, so imagining your hands are going through treacle, a bit of resistance to them, and you're kind of doing a front crawl as you bring your arm back, looking down your back arm. So we're activating the neck, activating the shoulders. Warming up the body, raising our energy, still having that stillness of the mind. And our arm swings, arms like a rag doll, nice and loose, swinging from the torso. Just beginning to wake up the spine. And raising the arms up to shoulder height. And back down. And tapping, some light tapping, waking up the muscles, bringing some circulation to them. Tapping at the top of the head, down the back of the neck, down the front of the chest, stomach, front of the arms, back of the arms, down the side of the body, down the front of the legs, the groin, the thighs, the shins, the feet. Get under the feet as well. Show them some love. And up the back of the legs, the calves, thighs, glutes. This is a lovely one. I do this during the day. Just warming my glutes up. Up the back. And up the back of the neck. Wonderful. Shaking it out. So here we encourage silliness as part of the curriculum. So feel free to be a bit silly, you have permission if that is needed. So when we do our shaking, we just allow the body to lead us. So no need to intellectualize it, just start shaking your body and then see what it wants to do. Just play with it. Maybe you're going to be low, maybe you're going to be high, maybe you're going to do small shakes, maybe you're going to do big shakes. We can be sincere without being serious. Play and laughter are important aspects of our spiritual journey, because without them we become all moribund and boring. And actually life is much more funner when we can play and we can still have our responsibilities as a human being. So allow yourself to just let any self-consciousness go and just be here right now, be you. Let your body just enjoy expressing itself and you just enjoy the ride. Just watch. Beautiful. All right, another practice to try for this week. We're going to do some Tai Chi walking. So this is simply walking slowly, heel toe. Hopefully you can see. And you're rolling your foot. So you're rolling from the heel as it lands, and then down from the heel to the ball of the foot to the toes, and then onto your next foot. So your mindfulness, your awareness is down on your feet. And this is a great meditation practice that Master Gu and I did many mornings up on the mountain. We just go walk on the road above the school, above the Tai Chi school, and just do some Tai Chi walking as the sun was rising and the birds were singing. So being present with what's happening here. All your awareness down in your feet. Now this walking actually has loads of benefits. So this is small, if you want to walk barefoot, as I'm trying to get into now, with barefoot shoes and barefoot running, is doing small steps when you're walking, this is, and landing on your heels and rolling to your toes. And your big toe is the last thing to land. So you kind of have this movement. So heel, little toes, big toe. Very, very subtle. And so this is the way to land your feet most gently. Now if you, maybe for some of you, you stay there. Now, if you want to build this practice and to maybe make it a bit more strengthening, is to see bending your knees and feeling tightness in the Achilles and the calves, and seeing if you can very gently just kind of see how low you can get. And this is strengthening your Achilles, strengthening your calves, and as always, being mindful of your body, so maybe just staying higher up is what's right for your body today. So always listening to your body. So actually you can develop strength through this exercise by walking low and controlled. Beautiful. Alrighty, so hopefully we're warmed up. And this week we're going to do Baduanjin Qigong, which is a wonderful Qigong form that some of you may have been joining for previous weeks, and otherwise we'll go. I'll explain some of the moves in a bit of detail so that if you're new, then you won't be left behind. As always, however, all these moves are invitations for you to express yourself. So don't try and copy me exactly, and don't compare yourself against me. Where you are with your fitness, stiffness, headspace is where you're supposed to be. So celebrating where you are today, and if that means that you're not getting in the same moves that I am, then that's where you are. And so this is your Qigong, it's your practice, and actually what we're really doing here is expressing our bodies and moving our bodies, and our bodies are where they are today. So no need to narrate anything else about our bodies not being right. So, if this means you're sitting down, then that's great. If this means that maybe you sit some of the moves out, amazing as well. Okay, beginning with our Tai Chi salute. So fist with the left hand, palm over with the right, and a bow. And acknowledging all the beautiful people that we're sharing our practice with, We had, 100 people just do that bow live together and many more on the recording. So that's wonderful. So bend your knees, left foot out. And we're into our Qi Gong standing. Now, Qi Gong standing is an art in itself. So let's go through it. Imagine the string that we met earlier. Attach to the ceiling, attach to the top of your head. Feel an elongation in your spine. So you feel a nice long spine. Even maybe the space between all your ribs expanding. But then you're relaxing down from there. So you're upright and you're relaxed. Tuck of the chin, same thing. So hopefully you can see down my back, there's a nice straight line. So my chin isn't here, it's not here either. So a slight tuck of the chin means that you feel a lengthening in the back of your neck. And then the bum tucked. So again, rather than having your bum out here or here, it's as if you're sitting on something and you feel a lengthening in your lower spine. So that may mean just tucking this way so that your spine is nice and long. Soft bend in the knees. If you want, you can go lower if you're feeling all kung fu-y. Otherwise, just nice soft knees. And then the feet. So the weight distributed across the whole of your foot. So try this with me. We're just going to rock back and forwards, bringing our weight forward and back. So you feel the weight distributing across your feet from your heels to your toes. Now, find that sweet spot for you where you feel the weight distributed across the whole of your foot. So the weight is in the balls of your feet and all the way through to the heels as well. Often we just kind of hang out in our heels. So normally this is going to mean you coming slightly more forward than you normally would do. Beautiful. All right. And finally, bringing our hands together just down by our belly button in our yin-yang positioning. So you've got the two tiger mouths coming together like this. Wonderful. So this is our Qigong standing. And just arriving here with a few breaths. So connect with your breath, watching the air coming in and out through your nostrils. Slow the breath down before we begin our practice. And here we go. Interlacing the fingers, reach up to the sky, reach up overhead. Two hands hold up the heavens and open up, stretch out. Interlace the fingers, breathe in, reach up. And if it feels comfortable for you, hold the breath. And breathe out, release, hands back down. Breathe in, raise up. Hold the breath. And release, breathe out. Breathe in, raise it up. And breathe out, release. Breathe in, raise up. Hold the breath. And breathe out, release. Draw the bow to shoot the eagle. So if you know the move, I'll show it to you, and then I'll break it down. So we open up, draw the bow, lower the body, weight equally distributed. Palm to the sky, open up, feet together, hands together. Other side, open up, draw the bow, lower the body, equal weight distributed, shoulders relaxed. Open up, back to center. So all of these are just nice little additions that you don't need to necessarily get this week, but this is the move. So you've got the L with this hand, and then your bow, you imagine the string attached here. That's your action. So let's just get comfortable with that move. Hang out here for a little bit and just relax into it. Relax your shoulders. This is a strong martial position. And maybe you're here, get as low as you want to. All right, and then open up, palms to the sky, feet together, hands together. So let's try it with the breath. We breathe in, And breathe out, pull the bow. Breathe in, open up. Breathe out, feet together. Breathe in, open up. Breathe out, draw the bow. Breathe in, open up. Breathe out, feet together. Breathe in, open up. Breathe out, draw the bow. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Draw the bow. Breathe out. The wise owl gazes backwards, feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. And we breathe in, we open up our chest, we look down one of our arms. Breathe out, back to center. Breathe in, open up, look down the other arm. Back to center. Breathe in, open up. Feel an expansion of your chest, an opening of your chest. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now if you want to make this a bit harder, as you open up, come onto your tippy toes. Breathe in. And lower, breathe out. Breathe in, open up. Breathe out, lower. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Two hands separate heaven and earth. So we bring one hand, palm to the sky, one hand, palm to the earth, and then back to center. So the two hands separate heaven and earth. So feel this powerful pulling action. Feel that kind of expansion. Stretching of the chest, back to center. So we breathe in, open up. Breathe out, back to center. Breathe in, other arm. Breathe out, back to center. Trying to focus on your palm facing the skies parallel to the floor, and both palms parallel to the floor. Open up. Breathe in, open up, relax the face, still calm, relaxed breathing, deep breathing, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. The great bear swings from side to side. So now a wide stance, hands at the top of the thighs, and we lean to one side and then draw a big semicircle with our chin and then back to center. Other side, lean, draw, back to center. Breathe in, breathe out, lean. Breathe in, back to center. Breathe out, lean. If you want to add some difficulty, keep on coming round and then eventually coming back to center. So you kind of whip your neck around, whip is a fast word, it's slower than that. You're kind of looking to the ceiling, so that's only if your neck feels okay with that. Let's try it with the breath. Breathe out, lean. Breathe in, back to center. Breathe out, lean. Breathe in, back to center. Breathe out, lean. Breathe in, back to center. The two hands hold the feet to strengthen the kidneys. palms to the sky, palms to the floor, chest level. Connected with the chest, keeping contact with the body the whole time, hands onto the back, roughly where the kidneys are. And then bringing your hands down the back of your legs, then as low as you can go. So for some of you, you'll be here on your shins, and for some of you, maybe touching your feet. Wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, hang out here, so see wherever you are. Maybe for some of you, bending your knees to protect your back. Let your head relax, so we're just hanging out here. Maybe just shaking your head yes, or just allowing a relaxation. And then we come up, so we fire the glutes, hands to the sky, hands in this good line with the torso. We push up from the glutes. A nice, strong, powerful rise. So let's try that again. Hands to the kidneys, down the back of the legs, and hang out. Relax the head, relax the neck, and engaging the glutes. Strong torso, pushing from the glutes all the way up. And we're back. Hands to the chest, kidneys, down the back. Hang out. Relax the face, relax the neck. And engage the glutes, push up. And down the back. Hang out. And engage the glutes, push. One more. Down the back of the legs. Hang out wherever you are, relaxing the face, relaxing the neck, and engage the glutes, fire up. And finally, shaking the body. So raising up onto the tippy toes, raising a bit higher and down. Raising up, raising a bit higher and down. You can come down with a bit of force. Raise up, even higher, down. Raise up, higher, down. Raise up, higher, down. Raise up, higher, down. Raise up, higher, down. And Qigong standing, feet just wider than shoulder width. And bringing our hands to our dantian where we began, just below our belly button. Closing the eyes, connecting with the breath. Slow the breath down. Relax the face. Slow the breath down, recalibrate after that movement. And feet together. Our Tai Chi salute, fist with the left hand, palm over with the right, a bow and a thank you. Wonderful to be moving with you. Wonderful to be doing it with all of us from around the world. So celebrating you. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I am sweaty. Whoa, it's hot. No, I didn't have a shower in the intermission. Beautiful. Lovely to be moving with you. Yeah, really, really special. So thank you. Amazing to be, all of us around the world doing it together. The power of the internet. So, got some time for questions. And if there's any questions, we can have time for that. If you need to go, then that's all cool. So Bogdan is sweating as well. Lovely, sweating here with you. Arrow Cheek saying, stay cool, thank you. So Arcturus asks a question, how do you know the constant? So what I think that means is chapter 16 of the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism. Watch the flourishing of all beings and then watch their return. All beings return to the source. Returning to the source is stillness. Returning to the source is constant. Knowing what is constant, we can find tranquility. At one with the Tao, although our bodies may die, we never pass away. So returning to the source, returning to what's constant. Yeah, the Tao, I mean, this is a word that the Chinese use for the universe, everything within it, but also the principles that underlie the universe. And there's always been that potentiality, that creative power in the universe. Even before the Big Bang, which we think, we look out at the night sky and everything is expanding outwards, and we play the tape back 13.8 billion years, and it appears that everything in the universe started at a single point, the Big Bang. So the Tao is that potentiality that even before form and matter existed, if the Big Bang is true, there was that potentiality for form and later life and this creative power. So the Tao is that which is constant, that which is eternal, the laws of nature or God or Allah, however you want to think about that word. Now, our human lifetimes are so short compared to the staggering size of the universe. If you've been looking at the James Webb telescopes, it appears that the universe is infinite, just literally infinite. There's some of the amazing photos of just, like galaxies crashing into each other, and each galaxy having 100 billion stars. Just impossible to begin to fit that into our small heads. So your question was, how do you know the constant? And so that kind of grandeur of the creative intelligence of the universe isn't something that we can really fit into our heads intellectually. It's not something we can describe. But we can know it in the sense that we can feel it, like in the way that we can know love. Like we can feel an experience of love, but when we try and describe it, words can never do it justice. Even Shakespeare's best poems never capture the real experience of love. So the very fact that we are experiencing anything, our consciousness, our awareness, if we're present with that, that is to experience that universal constant. We emerge from nature, we go back to nature. And so if we are present with our consciousness, our awareness, like we are doing in our meditation, our presence, then we can relax into knowing that we are this constant miracle, and we are this intelligence, we are it, we're inseparable from it. And so for me, that is how I've interpreted knowing the constant, and that's the importance of our emptiness practices. So meditation being one emptiness practice, walking in nature and without any purpose, not trying to get through it, but maybe just spending some time in the forest, sitting down next to a tree. Really powerful way to really feel your connection to the universe and to that which is constant and much grander and much bigger than human constructions. We're just one incredible manifestation of this intelligence. So people enjoying the movement. Matt enjoyed the movement. Levin from Germany. Renato from Peru. Amazing. People enjoying the James Webb as well. What was the name of that form? Baduanjin. Alrighty, let's call it a day there. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed today. As always, it's a great privilege to be with you. And we'll have one more week on YouTube Live and then back to Zoom. So if you'd like to join for either of those, it would be a privilege to see you there. Have a great week, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you, everyone.